The Columbus Blue Jackets. Now this is going to be relatively one of my more quick videos, since they do only have one pick in both first and second round, with their first round pick being very predictable. Let's take a look at their second and third round picks as well. But just at least so we acknowledge it, let's take a little look at Leo Carlsson, who they more than likely will be selecting with the third overall pick. Leo Carlsson is 6'3", 194 pounds, playing for Orebaro in the SHL. Being 6'3" and as mobile and shifty as this guy is, with high hockey IQ and a booming shot, his potential is through the roof. If he gets a little bit better skating, works on some decision making, he'll be a fantastic player with his frame and physicality. He only had 10 goals, 15 assists for 25 points in 44 games, but his floor is very high and his ceiling is way higher. As we see with a lot of SHL players, when they're younger, they don't get as much ice time. But during international play, Carlsson has proved to everybody that he can be a star in this league with a few years of development. I think if you put a guy like Laine and Gaudreau around him, he'll be able to push the puck with speed, be their top forechecker and grindy player, and produce for them defensively and offensively. Not much more else to say. I think this guy is pretty locked down at number 3. Now I'll show you their projected lineup here with Carlsson included. Now, having the second pick in the second round, what do you think they need? If you take a look at their prospect pool, it is very evident that they need a goaltending star for the future. Their defense is locked up, in fact logjam. I don't think they need any more defenders. And as for offense, unless they get a great winger like Antoine Wahlberg, they don't really need to touch that. But much like I said in the Anaheim Ducks video, with such an early second round pick, you're going to have your choice on what goaltender you want to pick. Now I do think that 6'6" Czechian goalie Michael Rabel from the Ohio Lancers would be the best option for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and if he's there, they should take him. But if the Anaheim Ducks do decide to take him, I do believe Antoine Wahlberg would be a great player as well. And then with your third round pick, you go out and get a goalie, and I think there are two really good options for him. But first, like I said, Michael Rabel is the ideal situation. As I said, 6'6", he's calm, collected, has great poise and reflexes. And for a 6'6" guy, his positioning is on point. Had an okay year this year, but I think his potential is what is being seen. A kid that big with his reflexes and ability, with a few years of development under the right guys, he very well could be a star in this league. But if Anaheim does decide to take him, I think they should take Antoine Wahlberg or Oscar Fisker-Mulgaard. Literally watch any of my other videos. I talk about him in depth. But let's talk about Antoine Wahlberg real quick. Another 6'3", 185 pound winger slash center, playing for the Red Hawks in the SHL. Fantastic skater this kid is. High hockey IQ in offensive as well as defensive zone. Great shooter and a decently slick skater for as big as he is. He could be a first round pick, I believe, but more than likely he will fall to them in the second round, but very early. From the projected lineup that I showed earlier, they definitely do need some size. At 6'3", Antoine Wahlberg will provide that, with a high level of grit and tenacity, while also being able to score the puck at a high level. A perfect middle six player for these guys. He had 14 goals and 13 assists for 27 points in 34 games. Definitely could be a lot better, but he has potential through the roof. Those would be my two picks for their second round pick. Now let's hit their third round pick real quick. If they don't decide to go with a goaltender in the second round, there are two fantastic options that could fall to them. First up, I believe Trey Augustine, 6'1", 179 pounds, goaltender for Michigan State University. He was the youngest American goaltender to play in the IIHF, and he played really well. For the U18 World Juniors, in 6 games, he had 1.61 goals against average, with a .934 save percentage. Very solid. And in 33 games with the U.S. National Development Team, he had a 2.13 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. That's not bad at all, and for a guy who's going to fall to the third round, that's a pretty solid value pick. Like I said, he was the youngest American-born goaltender to play in that tournament, so he still has a lot of time to develop and improve. And with the second choice in the third round, they could also go with Scott Ratzlaff, 6', 174 pound goaltender for the Thunderbirds in the WHL. From watching a lot of film, he's a very entertaining goaltender to watch. With good positioning and great reflexes, this kid is an animal out there. In 34 games, he had a 2.15 goals against average, with a .918 save percentage. Pretty solid, and for a young kid who still needs to develop, that's not a bad place to start. He should fall to them as well. If those are your two options for the goaltender of the future, those aren't bad ones. At the very least, through the transition of trying to find a star goaltender, these guys are great options. If you want an almost guaranteed star, you should go with Rabel in the second round. But if you want some guys who are going to come out of nowhere and just shock people, one of these two guys is your best bet. I wish I could talk more about their picks, but I feel like it's pretty well set up for them right now. All of those options just seem to fit for them perfectly. And honestly, depending on how you look at it, that's a fantastic way to go. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and comment the next team you want to see.